Hi, my name is Christy Loveday. I'm the owner of Black Cat Folk Magic, an Appalachian folk magic shop in Knoxville, Tennessee. Um, and I get a lot of questions. I get a lot of questions from customers in my store and folks online and just people I meet in general about what I do and about Appalachian folk magic itself and um, who I am. And so I thought I'd just take a moment and sit down and answer the most common questions as honestly as I can. So I hope this answers some questions of yours. All right, let's go. All right, question number one, is this stuff for real? Well, that's a fair question, and here's what I know. I'm a 7th generation Appalachian, at least, probably more than that. And this magic has been in these mountains a very, very, very long time. And it was born of necessity. It wasn't aesthetic. So, it was what you relied on when the doctor was too far away and too expensive. And it was what you relied on when you lived in the wilderness and needed protection. And it was handed down over time. And so, knowing that and knowing how long it's lasted, those traditions probably wouldn't still be known if they didn't work. And I think most of the people who practice this over time would have never called it magic. It wasn't something that they used for drama or fun. It was something that they used to survive. So they knew which plant to pick to make medicine. And they knew that putting iron railroad spikes at the 4 corners of your property would protect it. This is something that was just handed down over time. And things don't last that long if they aren't worth something. Question number 2. Are you Wiccan? No, I'm not Wiccan. Nothing against Wicca. It's just not my bag. Wicca is more of a religion. It focuses on rules, and it's a pretty new phenomenon. It was developed in the mid-20th century. And that's not where I'm interested in going with my spirituality. Also, Appalachian folk magic is not a religion at all. It's a cultural tradition that's been passed down over generations. In fact, most of the people who practiced it over time had a completely separate religion, had a religion all their own, whether it be Southern Baptist, Pentecostal, Primitive Baptist, those sorts of things were very common. And they practiced right alongside church. It was not a separate thing. It was not incompatible. When you get into learning about Appalachian folk magic, there's heavy use of Bible stories, of Bible traditions, of Bible verses, that sort of thing. Having said that, I go light on that for my own reasons. And you don't have to use that to practice Appalachian folk magic. But I just want to make the point that it's not a religion and it doesn't replace another religion. It's just a cultural tradition. And having said all that, I do consider myself a witch. Do I have to be a witch to come in your shop? Absolutely not. No, all kind people are welcome here. This is a place for anyone who's respectful and wants to learn. This is an Appalachian folk magic shop, and I do focus on that, but as a witch as well, I do carry lots and lots of things for lots of different aspects of witchcraft. Even the parts that I don't practice myself. I do want this to be a space where everybody feels like they can explore and try new things and see what fits their path. Why aren't your spell oils pretty? Okay, I think what they're asking is there's a trend now, like on Pinterest and things like that, where people often sell spell oils that have herbs still in the bottle, or crystals still in the bottle. And I will tell you that that does look pretty. It is aesthetic, and I have nothing against that, except my spell oils are meant to be used as magic elements, and when you leave the organic matter in the oil, it will spoil much, much faster. And I would rather sell a product that's going to last a long time, have a longer shelf life. That's simply it. There's no romantic reason. It's practicality. I do want you to get bang for your buck. And I agree. Those herbs in those bottles sure are pretty. But this is really about practicing magic. And I don't have anything against having pretty things. You know, you're right. Maybe I should make some pretty ones too, just to have. But that's the reason that my herb bottles are just plain and they don't. My oil bottles are just plain and don't contain any herbs. Why don't you sell incense? Well, I don't have anything against incense, and I use it myself very occasionally. Now that I have a kitten in the shop, I do not burn anything for the most part. I have her to think about now, but I was never really big on commercial incense. The artificial scents and things, the fragrances, I just didn't enjoy those, and I really don't want to sit in a box of incense all day. It's, that simple. What I do enjoy is making my own incense out of herbs and roots and things like that, and making them with intention, and so they're spell elements, and I burn them on charcoal. So I don't use dipped incense. I'm thinking about making my own incense and selling that. But right now, that's something that I'm working on and developing, and we'll probably introduce in the next year. But yeah, I'm not going to have boxes of incense around. I just don't want to smell it all day. And also, I'm not sure that it's great for the kitten. Can you do a love spell? Well, yes and no. I can do a love spell. But if you come in here and say, hey, can you make me a love spell? Because there's this guy at work, and I'm really into him, and he's all I can think about, and he has a wife and children, but really I just can't stop thinking about him, and I want him to want me so bad that he can't stand it. I want him to not be able to stop thinking about me. No, hard pass. Not gonna do it. Because there are a lot of ethical concerns in that scenario, but honestly, the most disturbing to me is the manipulation of somebody else. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do a spell that manipulates somebody else's will. They have to have free will. So even if you got what you wanted out of that scenario, you're not going to get what you want. You know what I mean? You're going to, it's not going to be harmonious. It's not going to be well received. Just forget it. What we can do, though, is make a spell to draw in your very best love match, or make a spell for self-love so you have better discernment about what you're looking for. Also, I just want you to know that, when you go after a specific person, that's just a really bad idea for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons is that human beings are terrible at picking out their own mates. They're just awful. Egos get in the way, and they're afraid of what other people will think, and it's just bad news. So it's better sort of to call for what you actually want, which is your very best love match, rather than someone specific. And that goes for just about anything you ask for. So, yes, I will do a love spell, but no, I will not do a specific person love spell. What's the weirdest spell request you've ever received? Well, This is a fun question, and I know what you're going for. And you're going to be a little disappointed when I tell you really nothing. First of all my spell work and all that is confidential. But even if there was a great story, I couldn't tell you, but there's really not one, because when it comes down to it, everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants safety, they want security, they want peace, and they want love. Everybody wants the same thing. And there's something reassuring in that to me. It's like we all still have something in common. We're all still made of the same stuff. As different as everybody is now, all the different opinions everybody has, all anybody really wants deep down is security and peace and love. And I hope I can do a little something to help them get there. What's wrong with you? Yes, people have asked that, and I can tell that people want to ask that, and both of those are okay. And what they're probably referring to are my physical disabilities, which are pretty significant. The most obvious one is I was born with a severe connective tissue disorder. It's pretty rare, and this disorder left me with a deformed spine and a lot of joint problems. So what that has meant for me over my lifetime is struggling with mobility. I've had lots of surgeries. I actually dealt with paralysis for a while. But I've kept trying to progress, and I work really hard to try to not let it slow me down and rob me of any more time than it already has. And so the other thing that I have is rheumatoid arthritis, which is another painful condition. So to manage it, what that looks like usually is I am what's called a semi-ambulatory wheelchair user, which means sometimes I'm in my wheelchair, sometimes I'm not. There are a lot of factors to that, and it could be maybe I'm feeling a little better that day and don't need it, or maybe it's just easier because of the conditions for me to not have to get my wheelchair in and out of the car, and so I use a walker instead. Or if I know that there's going to be a place to sit down pretty close by, I might not have anything. But it depends on my condition that day. It depends on other conditions like the weather or how accessible a building is, that sort of thing. And so, it's just part of my life. It's normal to me. Yes, I'm in pain all the time. Yes, I have a hard time getting around. But it's also just my life. It's not something that I think about a ton, actually. And I've worked really hard to create a full life for myself, and I'm just not gonna let it slow me down any more than it has to. So that's what's wrong with me. Is that your cat? Yes, this is my kitten, Sparrow. She's a foster fail. I've had her since she was I think about 6 weeks old. She had a little upper respiratory infection and her eyes were matted shut, and now she's doing great. Alright then, if I didn't answer your question, please feel free to leave your question in the comments, and maybe I'll make a part 2. In the meantime, please follow me on Instagram at Black Cat Folk Magic, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.